Okay, so since I like to use alternative operating systems and see what they have to offer and try to figure out how usable they are, what they can do to get things to be usable on a pretty much day-to-day basis, at least in an environment where specialized apps are needed. There's a lot to ask. I'm going to look at Icaros right now, and I should go over some of the history and how to get it, where things are at in general, and I guess an opinion of where things might be able to go. So, having said that, and when I talk about Icarus, I'm actually talking about the operating system called AROS. I guess let's go over to that webpage. It's basically aros.org. There's a lot of interesting things, and there's some parallels between this community in some ways and Haiku, and there's some differences. But there are just some commonalities that I should mention. So this is the website. That's their mascot over there on the right. And the way ROS seems to work is that there's a core group that makes ROS that also collaborates very heavily with another operating system that's for the native hardware platform, and I'll get into that. I think it's called. I must just look it up here. Might as well just look it up. Wikipedia. Of course, you could do that, but I think it's MorphOS. Did I get that right? Yes. Okay, so they coordinate with MorphOS, and I believe MorphOS is for some of the Amiga models, some Macs, some PowerBooks, and things like that. It seems to be more or less proprietary. Now, both MorphOS and ROS, which I'm going to be using in the form of a distribution, are, I guess, remakes, or not really remakes, but it's an attempt by the Amiga community. It depends on what year you're talking about in the history of this operating system. As of now, it is the only operating system you can use on an i386 to use Amiga applications, if I got that right. However, there's some technical issues about some binaries that could run if it's in the native Amiga hardware. Amiga OS still exists; it's still being sold. I guess I could just look that up. Wrong. Here's Amiga. So 4.1 final edition, not sure what that means. I don't know if that means it's not going to be made anymore, or if this is the final version of 4.1. Not sure. It seems to be reasonably priced. It's euros. It's probably maybe about $50 US, but it's only going to run on certain pieces of hardware. I guess there's some screenshots here. I guess you can look at those. It's got a certain look and feel to it. And I'll get into some of the history of Amiga, to kind of, 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 to kind of do some, be reasonable about it. Okay, now there is, for hardware, there are some motherboards and some boxes that are available, and some keyboards or special hardware. It takes a special processor. You can't just pop an Amiga disk inside, your standard PC that you would buy, at Fry's or whatever computer store you go, Best Buy, and be able to run Amiga software. Amiga has a very, very, very long history. So, going back to this, they do have some information here about the project. This is the history. So sometime back in the year 1993, situations for the Amiga looked somewhat worse than usual, and some Amiga fans got together and discussed what could be done to save their beloved machine. Now, if you go on YouTube, you will, and you search for Commodore or Amiga or things like that, there will be people that will talk about their piece of hardware that they absolutely adore. And because a lot of the people that use Amigas, I perceive, have to the computers that they use aren't made anymore, so they have to buy, machines that are already used, or parts that are already used, to replace parts that break, be able to open up the box and replace pieces of the hardware, maybe repair it. It's that kind of community where they have, to be able to do well with Amiga, my perception is that you want to be the kind of person that likes to learn and figure out, learn how to fix your computer box, and the way, and I'll show Icaros, and the way Icaros is kind of laid out, there is some implication that the end user has some technical knowledge of the underpinnings of the operating system in there relative to other operating systems that I've used. So, so this Aros group, their main goal is just to make a core OS, and they have no problem with people making distributions. They're very happy for people to make distributions. Having said that, one of the distributions happens to be Icaros Desktop, which happens to be the one that I've tried. So where's Icaros? Here. You can search for Icaros Desktop at Google, and you'll be able to download this link here, I think. Or is it this? Yeah. What'll come out is an Icaros Live _ and the version 7z.exe. Now what he says down here, and I'll say this, the book that comes with Icaros is very good, and it's worth reading because things are different. If you're not used to using the Amiga, it's good to look at. Getting back to this, and there is actually a manual inside this zip, so you don't really have to download the manual from here necessarily. You can, but you don't have to. You save it. If you're inside like a Mac or Linux, you just rename this file, get rid of the .exe, place it where you want to go, and after it's unzipped, you'll see the contents of all this stuff. Right here, this Icaros PC i386 ISO is the CD you would use to install Icaros on this distribution of AROS, like Ubuntu is to Linux, as Icaros is to AROS. And then from there, you have a system to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the installation. I installed it yesterday, but I got familiar with the system, so I'd give it a fair shake, because at first it's really hard for me to find my way around in the environment. Look at the settings, and you just want to... Now, as far as I understand it, one thing I found out last night is the max you're going to get out of a system is 4 gigs of RAM. So this is 32-bit. Place that in there. And I think, okay, let's go ahead and just start this. It should boot up the CD first. I would hope, but I'll be able to tell because if there's... Right. So this is the live CD, and look how fast that booted. And that's kind of like the thing we're saying, fast boot isn't really... Okay, so to say some things about this, it's got its own kernel. It doesn't use a Linux kernel, doesn't use a Haiku kernel, a NetBSD kernel. It's got its own kernel. It doesn't have VirtualBox guest editions, and the USB tablet trick does not work in here. So, at least using it in a virtual machine like VirtualBox, and that's all it really took. I mean, okay, let's just do the install, I guess. You don't have mouse integration. Now this looks, as you kind of see, they don't just say, click a button and you're going to be able to install. It's got a bunch of stuff here that if you're not familiar with it, it's not exactly, it assumes you have some competence, I would say, with the way disks are used, at least with in Amiga. So now I'm going to install it. You have to reboot if you format your hard disk. I'm not going to install development software, and I'll go, well, okay, I will. And this is just asking you. It uses grub to boot, and it's just asking, do you want it to be text or graphics is fine. Go ahead and proceed. Now, hopefully, first thing it does is installs the base of AROS. There were actually 2 CDs there. I don't know how it would be able to reach the other one. Now it's copying the extra software. And I will say that the people that made this OS did a lot of work to include just about everything that AROS has to offer in this distribution. And I'm just going to do the full installations. And they've actually have built a lot of POSIX apps. They do have SDL. They have a terminal. They don't seem to have all the but traditional Unix-like commands in there. The file structure is different. In fact, I've never really browsed around on the hard disk and been able to tell exactly where I was all that well. And that's quite unique. So they built a lot of just up to SDL. Anything that will run on the terminal or can use an SDL window, it will they've built or they've tried to build, or just about all of them they've tried to build in this system. So that means there's no X11. There's no chance for any of the X11 apps. There's no chance for, I don't think, for Firefox, or you'd have to be able to run stuff in a different way. They also don't have shared memory, and they don't have 64-bit build. Now, having said that, there are some things that they do have that Haiku doesn't have, at least not in a stock installation. In fact, there's one thing a few things I've been able to do in Icaros that I've never been able to do in Haiku before. The first thing is the ability to actually connect to Western Digital My Cloud. In fact, I'm going to go over how to set that up as a client. Or actually, since I have a Samba server, I'll connect to an actual Samba server that's running Linux. The same thing goes for Western Digital My Cloud. It's not that hard to do. It's well described in the manual, and the instructions are clear. They're a little bit behind on the resolution, but they don't seem to have After Effects of SDL programs running that resizes the screen. They do have some mouse and keyboard integration problems on some of the games that run. I'll go over those. There's also an Amiga emulation mode that you can go into. So just go ahead and proceed. And the one thing I haven't really figured out is how to just simply shut the machine off. I know how to reboot, but I haven't figured out how to actually just stop the thing. So actually, I'm going to say reboot the computer, but now I'm going to actually power this thing off, so I can eject the disk. It's not really clear how I can get that disk to unmount, or if they even use the terminology mount or what, or eject. So I'm just going to eject it here in VirtualBox, because that's just what I know what to do. Okay, so that was the installation. Didn't take all that long, and it's a full installation, and it's got a lot of stuff. Switch to full screen. Okay, this is the first time you Icaros desktop. Would you like to configure it now? So yeah. I don't like the look of some of this stuff, but it does have some options for the screen, but I'm not really. I tried changing it. I even tried changing the VirtualBox settings. I can't really get much better than this. So it can't do 1600 like it can in Haiku GC4. Sound actually works. Okay. And I am going to do a pull-down menu. I'll stick 3D. They got a lot of options here that I really haven't looked at all that much. I guess they have choice of graphical user interfaces. Don't know what an automatic shell is, but I think I'm gonna. So you can set this up to use VNC, so it could be accessed remotely. FTP file share, I'm not quite sure how that works. AMI bridge. You can have this boot straight into Amiga compatibility mode, which is what that is. I am going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave the boot sound alone. Okay. So I guess I'm in this thing called Wanderer. Most people tend to like, and You can do something about this mouse. I don't. Let's do devs, right? But actually, the first thing I'm going to do since I'm here is I'm actually going to set up a connection to the Western Digital. Or actually the Samba server. So that part there isn't really settings. That really is actually... Yeah. Wait, I think I saw it. I still have I still have to get used to this. Is it prefs? Yeah. So to set up a connection to the server, you have to make a local host entry for the server you want to connect to. So you're probably going to want to have the IP number. You are going to want to have the IP number for the machine you want to connect to. And the name. You need this entry. In most operating systems, it doesn't really ask you for this. And this is not the IP address for the machine you're working on. That's different. This is the IP address that you want to connect to. And then you go over here to mounted shares and you add. Leave those two alone. And for the host name, you actually put in the IP number. Most of the time, work group will work unless you've done something and renamed your work group. Yeah. Then you put your username and password in there, and you click apply. If you just have a guest, you just leave it as guest, and you have no password. Save. Now, once you save this, if everything goes well, you should be able to see a little floppy disk appear. Of course, I actually didn't really click on the use button, so I will do that and see if that makes a difference. If it doesn't, I'll try it again. To reboot, let's see if I could change anything about my mouse, and it really it isn't all that uniform. Like, you know, the pointer is not part of the mouse settings, you know. You can click on this, you can pick a different one. I think I'll just pick white. And hopefully that's saved. Let's reboot this. Now to reboot, right click on the desktop. They're shut down. I just don't know how to reboot. If you don't use Wander, if you use the other one, you can reboot. And we'll will say this is a fast boot. If it doesn't work, you gotta reset. And I've had sometimes that this system will just not really respond the way you expect. Unfortunately. And this is one of them. It seems to have a good file system, so alright, so let's look at some of the apps they got in here. First of all, they have a web browser. That's this thing down here. I didn't know what it was, but that's what it is. Support forum. As you can see, networking works well. This is DHCP, and where's my network share? Damn it. It says it's active. Why did that go away? So I'm a little bit confused as to why that isn't here. I'm also confused what happened to my... Now the only problem is that I tried to go to YouTube. And last time I tried it, it just said, sorry, there's something wrong with the certificate. And I really did not know what to do at that point. Google does work. I thought it did. And it could be that I'm having some issue. It seems like it... I don't know if I could change my preferences. What the heck is going on here? It's like nothing's here. Where is everything? Ah.
You come from outer space.
Pretty good. Not bad. Now, apparently my settings for the mouse didn't hold, so it's... Where's the pointer? It's hard for me to find things in this. It's just because I'm just new at this. I'll save it. All right. I'm getting the impression that what I need to do is get my oh, this, okay, so there's something in here. I think I want to use. I don't want to. I actually don't want to use Wanderer, but I don't know what the other one's called. Magellan. There we go. I'll restart the computer. Hopefully this time it'll respond. I really. I want to get to something else. Preferences. See, I don't know what's the difference between preferences and use. Damn it. All right, let me try another one. Let's try Midwestern Digital. Fine. Save and use. What the hell is going on here? It worked yesterday. This is, yeah, and Magellan it works different. So now reboot. And it won't, actually I had to change that host entries. If this takes too long, I'm gonna die. Keyboard seems to be a little bit different. I still got to go in there because my share name isn't right. Share name is public. Use. Let me give this one more shot. That's not going to restart. Restart! Now, what's going on here, I think, is I think there's some issues with the kernel in some capacity. Don't know if they are. And probably if I, God forbid, read the manual, but if I did read the manual, I might have some of my settings incorrect here. But it worked reasonably well last night, so I'm going to hope. Reset them again. Native graphics, come on. Why is it doing this? I know it can do better than this. I know it can do better than this. Let's see what VES say for this one. Aha. Question is, where is my damn network share? It seemed to be mostly reliable before. Be mostly reliable. God. Nothing's responding. It says there are 57 tasks taking place right now. Okie dokie. Alright, that restarted. Work. Can't tell what these tasks are. Alright, so I gotta move on to something else because this is gonna take too long. But might as well just reboot. Might as well just reboot. Might as well just no. Alright, let's try some of these. I have a feeling this is not going to work. I'll try some of these games. I think I got some decent stuff. I'll start with OpenGL. Good old Foo Billiard. Come on, Foo. Damn it. No. No. What is wrong with you, Icaros? Aros, where we are. Okay, so now I gotta get out of this again. I can't restart this. Oh, okay. So it did. I just do the native graphics, please. Don't you go dying on me. Okay, let's try. I'm gonna try one more time with the network. Because I know the damn thing works. I'm also going to check to see whether I get the right IP number. Because if you don't know the right IP number, it's not going to mount. It's not going to mount to nothing. Okay, then I'm going to make this thing look bad, but it actually works. I'm sitting here doing this, It's 85, not 88. Damn you. Okay. No. What's the keyboard doing? Use. But I also need an entrance in the local host. If I don't have the right entrance in the local host, it's not going to work, is it? No, it's not. So I've done a horrible job presenting this. There it is. I could browse my little thing. Little Western Digital. Alright. So you have to have the right IP number, like I had said in the beginning, and I didn't listen to myself. So localhost, you have to, I don't know if you really have to have the name MyCloud in there, but you can access it. So you can use Western Digital's and Icaros. You can also attach to Samba servers. Alright, let's go over some of these games. All the games are in the extras folder. And let's do OpenGL. And let's do Billiard. What do you know? It works. Why? Because it's in its own little window. Alright, so we got that. Sometimes a little console will come up, but how about GT machine, whatever this thing is? Enter arguments. I don't know what arguments. I'll pass on that. I'll try Hurricane. Took a while and took my keyboard last time. I'll try Neverball here. Mouse does work.
Select.
I don't know how to play this game.
Ready, set, go.
I don't know how to get this thing to move around. Anyway. It works. Why? Because it's got its own OpenGL window.
Select.
Okay, now let's check out some of the emulators, because they have emulators. EMU. So let's try out Atari. Problem with Atari is I don't know how to get out of this thing. So I will have to resort to resetting the machine. If I knew what commands to use to get out of that, it would probably look a little better for the pup. But see, they built that, and they do have an include directory. I don't know how things are pathed, but I think they have some kind of pathing working. But let's just go to the shell, I guess. If I could figure out where that is. Maybe utilities. All right, let's go back into the emulators. They're not very clear. This 68K here, that means use Amiga compatibility mode. It's a lot slower. It's a lot choppier. I'm going to do that last. Okay, then we got Vice. Commodore emulator, of course. Fortunately, that brought me down. They do. I think they have some shared memory. They specifically do not have shared memory. So the result is the program crashes if it really actually needs shared memory to run. And they have to disable the shared memory when they build this stuff. I mean, at least they have a shot at, having people use their stuff. Under certain circumstances, they're not going to work that well. But the people that worked on this must have worked a very, very long time. Some kind of diary program, not sure how that works. Just text editor here. Couple really utilities. Mathematica I was never able to really get to work. But it takes a long time to even to get these things to even try. And they got a lot of games. Let's see, what's this net bubble? You know what this sounds like? Oh man. Stack extends out of range. I don't know if I have to choose a certain chipset. And if I chose the wrong chipset, I would have done this platform a disservice. I'll say that much. But I'm using the same virtual machine that I had with 1 point whatever it was. It seemed like it. It's just unfortunate when you have a system that Luna Paint. I've never really been able to figure out how to work. It looks kind of like GIMP. Actually, don't really know how to get out of that thing. I guess this. Oh, okay. I never knew this. So here we have. Let's start a new project. There we go. So it kind of works like a Mac. Okay, in certain ways. That I didn't know. And if I could get this damned thing out of the way. It is a lot like GIMP. In fact. So I'm gonna... Can I get out of this thing? And now it doesn't seem like I have a choice. Okay, quit. Alright, so I'm out of Luna Paint. That was not clear. I've tried that 4 times. Okay, the games, right. Okay, Kobo Deluxe. I was not able to build this in Haiku. And Haiku, quite frankly, has a much better POSIX environment. It does have some problems, but it has a much better POSIX environment. It has a more familiar terminal. it actually does have if-defs in the source code. A lot of the source code that I saw when package source will just download it and you look at it, I hardly ever saw anything for Aros, but I know this is available in package source. I don't. Okay, now, yeah, this. Okay, I could do this. So controls fire and the arrows just tell you where you. Oh, okay. So I guess I'm attacking these two stations or something. Oh boy. Ooh, I'm dead. Alright. And it gives me back the screen, doesn't resize it. It doesn't. This system doesn't seem to have that problem. This works just as well as it does in Haiku. Can't tell the difference. Now this is unique, because this is supposed to be... Whoa. That's strange. Okay, get me out of there. X invaders. I don't see how they can X Rick. Oh, it's responsive at least. Okay, there's Doom, there's Quake. And you want to use the big Doom. Don't know how this works. I used it yesterday. And there's Quake. Rocks and diamonds work fairly well in Haiku. Alright. So you get the idea. It seems as if the kernel gets in a bad mood, it's not going to work that well. What's in this development? Tools, we have FlexCat. MUI Builder. VIM. Just VI, I guess. Guess some media editors. Don't know what Zune is. I've tried it, never had success. Feeling? What the hell that is? Of course, I'd actually have to read the manual. Benchmarks. So mostly, I'd use this if I want to play games, I guess. What's this? SDL Calc. I think they have chat clients too. So we've got a Jabber client, MSN client, some kind of WGET GUI front end, torrents, remote desktop. And of course, what's this? Jabberwocky. MSN. Now I wish. Okay, what's this Wookiee chat thing? This looks like it's. It looks like it's IRC. All right, so now the last thing I'm going to do. So you can remote connect. You could, I don't know if we do SSL. I haven't really looked into it. Now I'm going to try to do this 68K stuff. So once I do this, I go into the other world, I believe. No, before these run, you have to actually go into that other mode. If I think I remember this. It's called AMI Bridge. Right. Not quite sure I'm actually there. Amiga apps. I don't know what Amiga Forever is, but is that what this is? I guess I'm in some kind of seamless mode. Let's see. So these are the 68K apps. Maybe? Not really sure. What's this? What's that? I don't know. Don't want to take too long here. Bit confused. Okay, so you have to choose it there, and then it goes into 68K mode, and it's like, whoa, okay. Alrighty. It gets choppy, but then you can use these older apps. As far as I understand. It looks a little bit different. I actually like the icons a little bit better. Wow. Get bigger. like to run an app. Where's extras? There they are. All right, let's see if I could use something. What's this? Ignition. Now, I don't like this font. One. Oh, right, that works. Not. Okay. Okay, so it's got in 64-bit mode, it has a spreadsheet. I don't know what this is. It looks like it's some kind of development tool. Right. Don't know what this is. To move back and then see my mouse has changed. What's Dopus? Couldn't tell you how to this works or anything. What is it? I don't want to read help right now. TV Paint. All right, I would like to get. Ooh, how do I get out of this mode? So I'll just restart Icaros. Am I going to be able to get out of this thing? Quit emulation. Thank you. Oh, God. Okay, so I guess I've shown this, and it's a decent gaming platform, not a very good internet platform. And it's good for the people that want to have an Amiga. As far as so let me just quit here.